Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
Rod, if you're free, I have an extra ticket to the Warriors and Oil Kings game in Moose Jaw tonight, if you want to join me. I would love to, but I can't. To quote Sammy Seafood Sam, I'm busy.
How about that?
Where's Seafood Sam? Moved to Calgary. He's busy.
Yeah.
But thank you, Glenn.
Muna.
Big shots.
Sitting up there with the Russian national coach at the press conference.
Guy ran a seafood restaurant in Saskatoon, okay? His name was Seafood Sam. That was the name of the restaurant, and the Saskatoon Blades would bring him down to coach the All-Star or the intra-squad game, and he'd start brawls and...
I remember hearing the story about Daryl Lubanicki. They told the guys no more fights. And so all of a sudden there's a fight, and then they drop the puck, and then there's another fight, and there's another.
He's coaching the intra-squad
One kid had fought 3 times, so Daryl Lubanicki said, I'm going to put an end to this. And he walks around the rink, and he comes over to the kid who's had 3 fights, and he says, what in is going on around here? And the kid says, that Chinese guy keeps sending me out to beat out of that. So he had to go to this Seafood Sam, who was this little 5'2" Chinese fellow who owned the local restaurant.
Seafood Sam's.
And tell him to knock it off.
No more fights.
How about that? Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show. Right now.
I'm wearing headphones, rocking it back, old school radio days.
How about that?
And somebody said it looks like I'm plugged into a Walkman. And I remember when I got my first Walkman, because my brothers and I had to share it. And I was the youngest, so how often do you think I got it? And you had your case of cassettes, and then people started to crap on your music selection. And I'm like, then bring yours then! How many times did we have that conversation at parties?
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show on a Wednesday. Daytime sports talk coming your way. A little bit of a different look here. We're live from Ballers Rec Room in the heart of the Dudney Strip. Oh, yeah, we got the Silver Fox with us, Kelly Remple, because the Moose is away, and that means we get to play. How you doing, Silver Fox?
Good to be here.
Yeah.
I love Ballers.
It's great to be anywhere.
Regina, Ricky, good
Oh,
man.
yeah, they've treated us so well, and that's why with Moose gone, I said, come on, let's give Ballers something, man. They've let us do our show here for a couple of weeks, and I said, I want to get this backdrop. I know the listeners, shout out WQEE Radio, and the podcast listeners can't see it, but hey, Twisted Tea, you're welcome.
How about the Grey Cup party?
How about it?
I had my fair amount of consumption of the...
Twisted
teas that night.
It can be dangerous stuff, they tell me.
They sneak up on your
Thank God I retired before he came on the scene. Yeah, absolutely. No, so we're talking sports, of course, at Ballers Rec Room. And you see the Silver Fox is with us. Just to say it again, Bret Hart's former manager. You just talked to the excellence of execution moments ago.
Yes.
Bret the Hitman Hart. I see he's got a new bar.
Picking me up at the airport. Yes. I can't wait for that. We're going there tomorrow night.
Oh, look at this guy. I can't wait to get to Calgary. But for now, we're in the rectangle talking sports for the next couple of weeks, and we couldn't be happier about it. But with Moose away, I said I want to do this backdrop with Ballers on it and Twisted Tea, and here we are. And coming up on the program today, Mike Benton, Seattle Kraken broadcaster, is going to be with us, and Dave Randorf. You all know Rambo, the television voice of the Tampa Bay Lightning. So you Lightning fans, pay attention, listen up. He's coming up. What's he, Clark? He's in hour 1. Yeah, a couple segments from now. Can we hit the quick 6 show horn and we'll get down to business, please, Director, and then we'll go. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of things I want to get to. CFL Free Agency, Super Bowl parade today. But we'll start with the National Hockey League. There were 9 games last night, and here's the leftovers. Brent Burns scored his 11th goal of the season. Frederick Anderson made 34 saves. Carolina Hurricanes beat the depleted Washington Capitals 3-2. David Pastrnak scored 1:16 to go in overtime, and Boston rallied to beat Dallas 3-2. Jim Montgomery's first game against the team which let him go. In Columbus, Ryan Graves scored off a feed from Michael McLeod in front of the net with 1.4 seconds to go. New Jersey beat Columbus 3-2. In Denver, Steven Stamkos scored in the shootout, and Tampa Bay rallied from a 2-goal deficit to beat a banged-up Colorado team 4-3. In Winnipeg, Mark Scheifele and Pierre-Luc Dubois scored in the shootout to give Winnipeg a come-from-behind 3-2 win over the Seattle Kraken. Kind of why I'm wearing the Jets pullover today. In San Jose, Casey DeSmith made 38 saves, and Pittsburgh beat San Jose 3-1. There's a lot of games last night, Rams. In New York, Tim Stützle and Drake Batherson scored in the shootout. Ottawa beat the Islanders 3-2. In St. Louis, Braden Shen scored twice. Jordan Binnington made 34 saves to lead St. Louis over Florida 6-2. Dope! Panthers won't like that. And we rounded up in Montreal. The Canadiens scored 3 goals in the third period to win their third in a row. 4-0 over Chicago. So that was all last night. A very busy night. Did you take in much of it?
I did not. Sorry.
Yeah? It's all good. It's fine. What were you doing? You're busy.
Valentine's Day.
Oh, you had the missus out?
Hey, Valentine's Day. Went to Earl's, came home, sat by the fire, played some games with the kids and stuff, and then of course, they split. They each had their Valentines. They had to had their own little Valentines evening.
That?
So it was a quiet evening at the Remple.
Okay, it's fine. You don't need to have watched it to have an opinion, and I know you. And by the way, shout out Ryan O'Radio checking in from Atlanta. He says, time for the RP show. And indeed it is. As we've learned, half of the CFL lives in Atlanta in the offseason. So we're very big in Atlanta, even with the CFL talk. And I'll get to that. Just hang on. Somebody is trying to lead us down the garden path from the audience, Kelly.
Okay.
It's up to you whether you want to bite the poison fruit or not.
An influential player?
BW in Edmonton says, good morning, RP squad. I watched TSN Sports Center to watch for CFL signings. Not one mention. Time to tear up the TV deal with TSN. Did I say good morning? You did, BW. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that guy. That's a battle between TSN and CFL that doesn't involve us. The TSN people are great. They're great to us. The network's great to us. If they don't want to cover the CFL at the second most exciting time of the year, that's their business. But that is a topic we could get into.
That is a little odd, if that's true.
Yeah. Well, hey, Jack Fulton checking in. He says, watching from Palm Desert. RP show is the bomb. It absolutely is. But just hang on to your bingo cards for a second. I have it in the quick 6 show topics, so we'll get to the CFL stuff. I knew people would bring up the fact that TSN, and for our American audience, that's Canada's ESPN, wouldn't even cover the CFL. I knew it.
That's weird.
It's weird. It's not what I want to get into today. I want to talk about the Winnipeg Jets and just get your thoughts. They've won 3 in a row. I watched a game last night with Joe 747 Gunnis. He was my Valentine, okay?
What a choice.
It was a great night. And at this point, do you think it comes with age? Because you and I are almost the exact same age. I just can't wait for the playoffs. I'm over. It's different for the Flames. You're in, you're out. You might be, you might not be. But the Jets know they're in.
Yeah, they're in. And,
yeah.
And did you think that there was a possibility at the beginning of the season that we would be having a conversation about the Winnipeg Jets possibly being the best Canadian team?
Absolutely not. But that's what's fun about it.
Yeah. No,
and that's why we have our coffee discussions daily here, and Ricky Regina's put on a pot of coffee. That's what we do. Look at him. He's giving us a thumbs up right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Extra calf.
I crushed my Tim Hortons and I put Baller's coffee in here just so I could have more. By the way, people are soundly trouncing Big BW from Edmonton, saying that TSN did cover it, so cool it. But we'll get to that in the next segment. It's part of sports, Kelly, in that this summer, the Jets fans, they're all writing in here going they didn't like the hiring of Bowness. They lost out to get Barry Trotz, right? And how does Rick Bowness feel being second? The guy's probably going to be coach of the year. I didn't think they were going to be this good. And Hellebuck didn't even play last night. Big save Dave did. Mm-hmm. Dave Riddick. They have everything they need, Kelly. They've been good for a long time. And I give Paul Maurice a lot of credit that he was the guy that said, I'm the problem. I'm out. And he's doing good things in Florida. I don't think anybody saw this other than Kevin Cheveldayoff. What do you think?
Well, you know, to me, what it just sort of comes down to, Rod, is for whatever the reason, it's hard to kind of put your finger on it, but in the sport of hockey, more than maybe, you know, any other sport, the shelf life of a coach is generally kind of short.
It's getting shorter.
Right?
Seems to be.
I mean, you just don't, you don't very often see those career coaches that have a career in a city. And, you know, anybody that I've ever talked to that's been around hockey, our friend Lou being one, okay?
Peter Labardius, Calgary Flames.
You know, anybody, though, frankly, that spent any amount of time with Paul Maurice, they have the utmost respect for him. And I think that's a Paul Maurice type of thing to say. Well, the buck stops with me. We weren't getting the maximum amount of our players. This was the right decision by the organization. It was time for me to go. That's the type of thing Paul would say, because he's that kind of guy. He doesn't go kicking and screaming, sucking his thumb out the door. But, you know, it is kind of true. Like generally speaking, after a certain amount of time, your core group, your team, getting the same message from the same guy every single day, it gets old. And sometimes, you know, you just need a fresh coat of paint. You need something new to rejuvenate a locker room.
Yeah, all of this tells me that Kevin Cheveldayoff does know what he's doing. That's a good team. And near the end of last year, I remember Darren Dreger coming on the show of TSN and saying, you know, Chevy believes in this group and so do I. And I said, I don't. But that was in that. They didn't turn it around under Dave Lowry. It wasn't just Paul Maurice.
True.
Rick Bowness is probably half of this.
Yep.
You know, he's done a really good job. So,
but he's a guy who's had a good career. I thought it was a good hire. Mm-hmm. But I can also understand where people would be pretty locked into Barry Trotz, too. I mean, you couldn't go, let's put it this way. You couldn't go wrong with either choice. It's not like they had nothing but C-listers to choose from, right?
It was quite an offseason for coaches in the National Hockey League, for sure. And what I'm saying is I'm just ready for the playoffs now. I think it's how old I am. I'm not here for the...
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I feel that way, Rod, in every sport except football. And
well,
the Blue
that's
Jays.
different.
And the Blue Jays, I have to say.
That's interesting you say that, because football's one game a week, so you have time to debate. Hockey, it's just every second day. It's up, it's down, it's too much emotion.
I think what it might be for me, though, now that I think about it, is I think it's because I don't have a favorite team. I think if I had a favorite NHL team, which is odd, because it's the only league in basically professional sports I don't have a favorite team. But I think because I don't have a favorite team, I'm not sort of locked in on the Oilers or locked in on the Flames.
I get it.
And so
totally
I just love the playoffs. But I'm with you. If the NHL playoffs could start tomorrow, I'd be far more interested than I am right now. And it's sad to say.
And here's the thing, okay, Winnipeggers, I get it, and we're very big on Bell MTS cable out there on Game Plus television. Viewer Dan Asham is in Winnipeg, says, great game for the Jets last night. Better than the Blackhawks game. Blackhawks are a boring team to watch. Well, if they were boring and they were winning, you probably wouldn't have a problem with that. But the Winnipeg Jets have always been exciting. It's just boom, boom, boom. They're so fast, man. Yeah. Particularly Scheifele, Kyle Connor. They're a great team. I'm just saying, can we get to the playoffs? And maybe this will be the year. They've learned their lessons, and that's exciting. John in Edmonton says, coaches don't have enough time to gel with a team anymore like they used to in any sport, Rod. That's because of people like you, John. Nobody has the patience. If you're not winning now, they want you fired. There's no time to build anything anymore. Anyways, we'll move on because there's people that do want to talk about football, but Number 2, Devin Booker scored 32 points. DeAndre Ayton had 29 points and 11 rebounds. And the Phoenix Suns beat the Sacramento Kings 120-109 Tuesday night with superstar acquisition Kevin Durant watching from the bench. Interestingly enough, it was the first home game for the Suns since they acquired Durant, who's recovering from a right knee injury. Raptors beat Orlando last night 123-113. Super Bowl. 0.3, hundreds of thousands of people are expected to clog the streets of downtown Kansas City today to celebrate the 2023 Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs.
What a great first 58 minutes of football.
You going to go that way and say the officials cost the game?
No, I'm not going to do that.
You're not going to be that guy?
No, I'm not going to be that guy. I didn't like the call, but I just feel...
And he's a football guy.
I just feel that the only thing that probably kept that game from being one of the top, you wouldn't be able to find enough games that you could fit on one hand in the history of the Super Bowl if it hadn't have been such a lame last 2 minutes. And it did happen as a result of that call, but I don't believe officials go on the field and say, well, I would have not called it except we really want a great finish, so I'm not going to call the penalty. No, they're calling the penalty that they believe in that split fraction of a second needs to be made. Now, whether I agree with the call or not doesn't matter. The referees don't set out to screw teams. I don't believe that.
I don't either.
So for the idiots that actually think that referee had a motivation, he had an agenda, we're going to stick it to the Philadelphia Eagles. That's absolute nonsense.
There was a lot of that talk, though.
Yeah, I know, but that's crazy talk. In saying that, I didn't like the call, but I don't believe that the official made it because he was trying to screw a team out of a win. I just think it was a bad call. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, well, when you say lame last 2 minutes, I'm a little surprised because it was 35-35 with the 2 minutes to go, and they're on a game-winning drive here. And I thought that it was a penalty, but again, that's the fun thing about sports.
What I mean by the lame 2 minutes, though, is that, let's face it, if there's not a penalty, they have to kick the field goal, and Philadelphia's got $150 to basically try to tie the game. And now we're talking unbelievable finish. But they've used all their timeouts, so they just ground the ball out twice and basically just
that was a little anticlimactic.
Yeah, yes. So that's the only reason I make that point.
I gotta say this, my buddy Peanut Butter Pete, whom you know well, Peanut Butter Pete Saragella, we were talking about
the Tower Pizza.
Tower Pizza is king. Although I'm kind of partial to the T-Rex, Ricky, as you know. Ricky knows that. Right, love it. That might be the best pizza. But I said to him, I was in the Energy City, and I said, you don't watch Sports Center? Something came up about that, and I said, you don't watch Sports Center? Like, what's wrong with you? He goes, I watch your show. I get more in the opening 20 minutes than I do in 60 minutes in Sports Center. I was like,
interesting.
Can't argue with that. So that's what's going on. When we return, we'll recap all of a very wild opening day of CFL Free Agency. We'll get into some of your comments. Look at day 2. Tiger Woods making a comeback here. That's in the news.
That's all we need.
Yeah. And we got Dave Randorf and Mike Benton coming up, too. We're live from Ballers Rec Room on Game Plus TV and your southern home of sports and talk, WQEE The Key.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpedersenshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpedersenshop.com.
Smoky in the air, that's a lot of fun. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
It's time to trade and upgrade at Capital GMC. Great Great news! Factory credits are back. That means massive savings on every new vehicle. We have over 100 GMC Sierras available, and they're all priced to move. Looking for a used vehicle? You gotta check out our all makes, all models, GM certified pre-owned inventory. Plus, don't pay for 90 days on all new and used vehicles. There's never been a better time to trade and upgrade at Capital GMC. CapitalGMC.ca.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
I gotta hit the beat. I gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
beat. I gotta hit the beat.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Well, this is going to be interesting. And the time with Kelly Remple goes far too fast. Rems, what is it about you?
I don't know what it is about me, but when we get together, we never run out of things to talk about. Never a shortage of laughs.
Always having a good time.
Exactly.
The poll question today for Capital Auto Mall Universal Collision Center is a doozy. We're down to our final 4 jersey bracket. NHL reverse retro jerseys. And today, this is who's representing the Western Conference. The Winnipeg Jets and the Los Angeles Kings. You voted for these, folks, and this is it. And Clark has written, I saw it in the comments, Clark was like, sorry if I move, boys. Clark said, there's a lot of Jets fans watching the show, but come on, look at that Kings jersey. So we'll see what the vote is. That's mine. That's mine from the day they announced these reverse. I love that thing.
The Ken Baumgartner years.
Yes, and Charlie Simmer, and Tiger Williams, and Marcel Dayon. Did I say Dave Taylor? So we'll see what the vote is, but that's what. Yesterday, the Buffalo Sabres outlasted the Pittsburgh Penguins. So Buffalo's waiting in the Stanley Cup final of jerseys for the winner of this.
I'm glad you said the name Marcel Dayon.
Purple Haze.
Because I always defer to him when I hear this narrative that, well, he can't be considered one of the all-time greats because he didn't win a Stanley Cup. I always say, really? So Marcel Dayon, because he was loyal to the Los Angeles Kings and never at his, trade deadline or when his contract was up, he was happy to take less money to be loyal to his team when he could easily have gone to the Montreal Canadiens or wherever.
His home province, sure.
Exactly. He isn't in that discussion. It usually ends the conversation pretty quick.
Oh, yeah. Wait, hey, but you can't account for stupidity, Rems.
No, I gotta get it to a point. I mean, when you're gonna if you're gonna put people at the top of the Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, Tom Brady, what do these guys all have in common?
Championships.
But it's not fair to pigeonhole everybody and say, well, you never won a Stanley Cup, so you don't deserve to be in with the great players. Well, Marcel Dion was a great player who had incredible numbers despite being on a very mediocre team.
Listen, as you know,
notwithstanding the great jersey,
I have spent the last 6 months in South Florida, and will spend 6 more. It's the Marino thing. It comes up like every day.
Jim Kelly.
Well, I mean, specifically Dan Marino, and he's a Hall of Famer for a reason. He didn't win. Sucks. I'm sure it keeps him up at night. Doesn't make him less of a Hall of Famer or less of a player.
Great point. There's a perfect example.
Aaron in Edmonton writes in, he says, I'm not even a Jets fan, but I like that Jets jersey better. Well, Graham Tour once said, we can't all have the same opinion. We can't all like the same girl.
Is that what Slippet said?
Graham Tour said we can't basically all have the same opinion.
There'd be no point in doing a show like this if everybody agreed on everything.
Well, that's what makes this show great.
You wouldn't have a listener.
Troy in Toronto says, damn right, that Kings jersey is sweet. Well, we'll find out if they're standing above the rest when this is all said and done. By the end of the week, actually, we'll have it solved. Now, I know people came here, and I get it, today for the Canadian Football League talk. And by the way, a lot of people came to TSN's defense and trounced BW in Edmonton and said they talked about the CFL free agency on SportsCenter, so they're having a back and whatever. I didn't actually see it. I would have loved to, but I was busy.
You're the seafood Sam of broadcasting.
Right, I was busy. I didn't have time to watch SportsCenter, okay? So JT from the audience writes that he says, so far Saskatchewan Roughriders have lost the most players in the CFL during free agency, a mass exodus out the door. Carter Como is watching in Calgary and Game Plus Television. He writes it and he says, Riders not bringing back Dan Clark. He's the veteran center, local boy. He says, what a great move by O'Day. Keep destroying the locker room. From day one, you can go to rodpedersen.com right now. The best recap of what went down on Tuesday's day one of free agency is right there. Trevor Harris has come to Saskatchewan. Highest paid Rough Rider ever, $550,000 per season for 2 years. Cody Fajardo's gone to Montreal. We've learned today that Darnell Sankey, perennial all-star linebacker, played in Calgary, played in Sask, is going to the XFL, Arlington Renegades, Arlington, Texas. So there's a lot going on. I guess I'll hand it over to you and say, what's your assessment of the opening 24 hours of CFL free agency?
Well, I was actually a little underwhelmed, to be honest, because we all knew that Trevor Harris was coming. So it's not like everybody woke up, looked at their Twitter account,
it's
and
not
said,
Christmas.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
And the Sankey one hurts because that's a guy who's a rock solid part of your defense. Now, they do get Micah Tights back, so between him and Larry Dean, that's a pretty good group.
Pride of Tifton, Georgia, by the way, Larry Dean, for the people watching or listening in the Peach State. Continues.
But, I'm not going to lie and say, I was just awesome. There was every minute, there was more great news coming in. I mean, I would say it's been a pretty underwhelming free agent.
Because you knew what was coming.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was under wraps, and it would be pretty exciting.
We knew Shaq was probably going to leave, and he did.
Shaq Evans going to the Ottawa Red Blacks.
So, let's put it this way, haven't been many surprises.
No. Regarding if this is the end of the line for a veteran center by the name of Dan Clark, and our football
sounds
fans
like it is.
Really like, the football people like the talk. Tank Abbott from Estevan, the Energy City. Do you know Tank?
The MMA fighter
or this fellow? He's a big man. He says he can't bring back guys that ride the injured reserve, veteran or not. Clark was good, but never great. Yeah, but you know what? We don't know what he meant to the locker room. We don't know what's going on in any particular locker room. I gave the Saskatchewan Roughriders a B+ on what they did in free agency. They had the worst offensive line in franchise history last season, so they signed a couple of guys. They signed Trevor Harris, richest contract ever for a quarterback, for any player here, and got some good receivers by name Jawan Breskison and Jake Weineke. And they already had a decent defense.
Schaefer Baker looks like he's coming back, right?
From the NFL, or never really went to the NFL. I guess he had some workouts, but never got signed. So I give them a B+. I would be interested to hear from other people around the league, the fans of all teams. What's the grade you would give your team so far? We're only a day into it. We're a long ways from over. From the audience, Argo Fluffy is the name. Argo Fluffy says, I wonder where Brandon Banks will go. Maybe the XFL or USFL? I'm actually surprised there was as much movement. Because you know an NHL free agent trade deadline, you sit there and go, 56 players and 89 draft picks switched. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Here.
And there's definitive winners and losers.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't feel like there has been this time around in the CFL. Do you?
Well, number one, we always rush to judgment to declare a winner far too early in anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not sure that we know who won the Matthew Tkachuk, Jonathan Huberdeau trade yet. But we wanted to declare that day who won. That's what, again, what would you say? What did
I
you
have
say?
my own thoughts on that.
Shows like this are great for that.
Yeah.
Can we pause? Did I scratch an itch on the Tkachuk Huberdeau thing? Because I'm here for that discussion every day.
Well, I remember last week when I was here, you were kind enough to invite me 2 weeks in a row. I remember one of the callers, I'm sure he's a very nice person, but he texted in or sent in a message and said that he disagreed with my thoughts on Daryl Sutter because he said proof of the fact that it's not the coach's fault is Jonathan Huberdeau hasn't been very good this year. And I'm thinking to myself, no, that does prove exactly what my point is.
You thought about it after?
No, I didn't. I just didn't want to get into it. I felt like you probably felt we'd already taken up enough of the time. So my thinking is that the coach of a team or an organization's responsibility, their purpose, their sole purpose, is to make everybody better, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Isn't that the whole point? Is to push the right buttons to make especially your star players better. Not to beat them down to the point that they don't know whether to crap or wind their watch and make them worse.
Yeah.
So I would argue the opposite of that. Jonathan Huberdeau's the worst example you could give if you want to make the case that Daryl Sutter's doing a great job. The guy is out of sorts. It's obvious.
Interesting you say that. Because we posted it to our social media today, my comments on the Flames. They're still in a playoff spot, or at least last I looked they were.
I think they're out now.
Okay, I'm going to take the positive view. 28 games left. I'd like to think that they can get their act together. But I'm not going to argue with you or the naysayers that don't. I mean, we'll see. You can.
I think they'll make it too, because I think that they are good enough that it's inexcusable for them not to be in one of the top 8 teams.
There you go.
Their general manager has given that guy every possible tool to win.
I got to be quick here because I know you got to run. We got Dave Randorf coming in next. We have 4 minutes.
Davey Randorf.
Yeah. Lyle Robichaud is watching on Game Plus TV in Toronto. He says, Daniel Alfredson, my favorite player of all time, never won a cup. It's a big group of guys that are Hall of Fame players that never won a championship. So Sean, all the way out in Vancouver, watching on Game Plus, says, good morning, Rod Squad. Can you ask the Silver Fox, sharpshooter or RKO? To me,
sharpshooter.
Okay, to me, that's hieroglyphics. I have no idea what that means. From Alan, our former intern, the Asian sensation. You remember Alan, the Asian sensation, Alan Lee?
Oh, yeah.
He says, hey, Silver Fox, who's the next in Dungeon Wrestling? Is that the Calgary?
Yeah. I'm going to be the ring announcer, and I'm the Ed Whalen of Dungeon Wrestling.
Are you ever?
The next best. My favorites. I'm going to just use my heart. The Billington Bulldogs, Dynamite Kid's nephews. They are
the bloodline.
They
continues.
are spectacular. How they don't have a contract with WWE or AEW is just a mystery to me. But those guys are absolutely awesome. And one of them looks exactly like Tom Billington, the Dynamite Kid.
Is that right?
He looks like him. His body looks like him. He's even ripped in the same spots. He's got the same facials, everything.
Isn't that great?
It's incredible.
Clark, can you please tell me when Dave Rambo has logged in? So we got a minute or two here. Oh, he has? Okay. We have... you should do a wrestling podcast, Kelly, because there are a million questions that have come in on that. Wayne in Victoria, BC says Dan Clark was a character player and obviously great in the locker room. Now they're saying his time's done. The time passes for everybody, okay? You got to get over it. Swerve in Calgary says, my Wild are foiling up the knuckles tonight for the Abs. Great games tonight.
Remember those days?
Oh, 6 games tonight. And we did have it a couple of years ago with the Flames and the Oilers, right? And that will come back.
For about 2 games.
Yeah. Rems, I can't believe the time's gone already. And you got to go.
I'll say all those Calgary wrestling fans at the Victoria Pavilion Friday night. It's going to be a ring-a-ding-dong dandy. There's going to be some malfunctions at the junction. It's going to be great. Dungeon wrestling, baby, back in Calgary.
Having a party.
And you're all invited.
Ricky likes that one. Oh, yeah, you were having a party, Mr. Whalen. And the Hitman's Bar, 30 seconds on that. It's open now?
Yeah, I haven't been, obviously, but I'm going to be probably headed there tomorrow, and I hear it's awesome.
I've seen
I hear it's awesome.
the photos.
It's Cowboys Casino, I think, right by the Saddle Dome. So it's like if you're going to a Saddle Dome, a game, a Hitman, or Flames, you literally walk right there.
It's amazing what they're doing. There's the BMO Center's right there, right? The Pavilion, the Cowboys Casino. I love it. Can't wait to get back to Calgary. We'll be there next month. Okay, thanks, Rems.
Thank you.
Dave Rambo Randorf next. A lot of CFL talk on this program today, and from the Seattle Kraken broadcast crew, Mike Benton coming up too. It is the RP Show live on Game Plus Television, your favorite podcast platform, and on the radio, WQEE The Key.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
It's time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. Great news, factory credits are back. That means massive savings on every new vehicle. Take advantage of up to $7,000 in discounts on all remaining new 2022 F-150s. And rates are as low as 1.99% OAC. Looking for a used vehicle? You gotta check out our all makes, all models inventory. Plus, don't pay for 90 days on all new and used vehicles. There's never been a better time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. CapitalFordLincoln.com. Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
beat. I gotta hit the beat.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
RP Show continues on this Wednesday, everybody. We're having a slight issue getting Dave Randorf lined up, and I'm hearing what's going on. They can see him, they can't hear him. That is going to be a problem. So, before we go any further then, let's, the game I wanted to talk about, and will if we get Rambo, was in Denver last night. One of 9 great NHL games. Steven Stamkos scored in the shootout. Tampa Bay rallied from a 2-goal deficit to beat a banged-up Colorado team 4-3 in a Stanley Cup final rematch from last year. I don't mind getting into the CFL stuff. Our listeners certainly have thoughts on that, and we will, especially if we don't get Rambo on here. There are 6 games, though, on the NHL slate tonight, including games in Toronto, Edmonton, and Vancouver. The Leafs host the Chicago Blackhawks, who fell 4-0 in Montreal last night. The Oilers host the Detroit Red Wings, who have won 3 in a row, and the struggling Vancouver Canucks entertain the New York Rangers. They've won 5 straight. How about this? The American Hockey League has come across the sports wire. The Calgary Wranglers scored 3 times in the first period, then coasted to a 4-1 American Hockey League victory against the visiting Abbotsford Canucks. Walker Dewar, Radim Zohorna, Mitch McLean, Adam Klapka scored for the Pacific Division leading Wranglers, while Nils Hoglander scored for the Canucks, who were outshot 39-30. There are 10 games on the NBA slate tonight, but the Raptors are off, making plans for the NBA All-Star break after beating the visiting Orlando Magic 123-113. The Raptors 28-31 don't play again until February 23rd, when they'll host the New Orleans Pelicans and try to extend their winning streak to 3. The sports updates are brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. Here's what's on at the movies now. At Landmark Cinemas, A Man Called Otto, based on the comical and moving #1 New York Times bestseller, A Man Called Otto, tells the story of Otto Anderson, played by Tom Hanks, a grumpy widower who is very set in his ways. But when a lively young family moves in next door, he meets his match in quick-witted and very pregnant Marisol, leading to an unlikely friendship that will turn his world upside down. In theaters now, A Man Called Otto. Check it out this week at Landmark Cinemas. Sounds like no update on the Dave Randorf situation, so we can, while we sit here, talk a little bit about this Canadian Football League free agency deal. I'll say this. 3downnation.com, Canada's #1 source for CFL news, has posted the list of the top 50 remaining free agents, and there's some good names on there. I see David Carswell, I think he's a Ticats fan, checking in from Southern Ontario, and he says, free agency, where does Simone Lawrence end up? And from our director of scouting, he's watching right now, Craig Smith, 2-time Grey Cup champion. I would love to get Smitty's take on who's gone where, who might be winning free agency so far in the CFL. Me being fully aware of the fact that we're only a day into it. we're probably not even going to declare a winner until the season. Now, the Saskatchewan Roughriders, here in our backyard as we broadcast from Ballers Rec Room, signed a center in Peter Godber. And I can only speak for myself. I'm not going to tell people what to do or how they should consume their media. Peter Godber started all 18 games at center for the BC Lions last year. He's a sturdy guy, good player. People are saying that spells the end of the center that's been here for a real long time, almost a decade, starting center Dan Clark. And I see the comments are going back and forth from the viewers and the general manager of the team, I guess, saying in the media that, here's from our VP of Sim Events, Nelson Hackowicz, saying Jeremy O'Day, the general manager, noted that Dan Clark will be the final player on the Riders roster that he played with as a player. So they're moving forward, planning on Dan Clark being on the team. So now, interestingly, though, enough, we kind of declared winners and losers last year in the Canadian Football League coming out of free agency before the season even kicked off, in that we felt Saskatchewan lost it. We were waiting for that big signing. They made it this year in Trevor Harris. They didn't make it last year and finished 6-12 and out of the playoffs. Austin, watching on Game Plus television, checking in, and he says, an A grade for the Riders. Don't forget about those signings from the States before free agency opened. Lots of times it's those guys that end up making the biggest impact, not the big names. Sure, he's talking about the guys that you signed that nobody's ever heard of before in terms of the fans, but the football people know them, right? But again, man, we don't know any more than anybody else. What free agency for is the signing of the proven names. And my commentary today, you can read it right now at rodpedersen.com, listen to it on Saskatchewan radio, is that you can talk about who signed the biggest names, who spent the most money. Saskatchewan would check those boxes. But when I look at the Calgary Stampeders and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, they've probably been the most inactive. And now why is that? It's because they haven't needed to be. They've got the rock-solid set rosters. And who were the most formidable teams in the CFL last year? At the very least, in the Western Conference, out here where it matters the most, it was Winnipeg and Calgary. But again, the Toronto Argonauts are the defending champions. They've been pretty quiet, too. I'll turn it back over to the viewers here. From our director of scouting, Craig Smith, writes in and says, "Go Jets." Well, I really deliberated today on what I was going to wear. Vegas Golden Knights bunny hug or a Winnipeg Jets bunny hug. But I thought, hey, Jets played a hell of a hockey game last night. Watched it all with Joe 747 Gunnis, my business manager, and the Jets have won 3 in a row. And they beat the Seattle Kraken last night in a shootout. Man, that was an entertaining game. You can say what you want about ticket prices in the National Hockey League, but for those that went to that game last night at Canada Life Center, they were entertained. That was an awesome game. Well, interesting talk that we can carry over into the next segment if you want was the, I'll get into it now. Remple's gone, and we can't seem to get Dave Randorf on the air. TSN, well, TSN's never done a CFL trade deadline day or free agency day, so, well, the trade deadline day is completely a dud, always has been in the CFL, but free agency, they've never done that either. So why would we expect it? This is the place. Game Plus lets us talk about whatever the heck we want on a daily basis. What do you got, Clark? Okay. Okay, we're going to take a break here. Real quick, from the viewers, Jeff the Stamps fan says, surely someone grabs Richie Sandani, a reliable Canadian receiver. Well, let's remember, he's suspended for, 2 games for positive PED tests. So you get that scarlet letter on you in the CFL, unless your name's Andrew Harris. I don't think teams are rushing to sign him. Argo Fluffy, watching in Toronto. He says, I hope Juwan Breskison can stay healthy for Saskatchewan. He needs a healthy season. I love me some Juwan Breskison. He's a tremendous player. And from David Carswell, Will Trevor Harris be able to produce in the red zone? He couldn't in Ottawa. Wasn't much better last year. Well, we'll see if they put the talent around him. Trevor Harris, I think, is fine. He did take the Ottawa Red Blacks to the Grey Cup. I was there. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. See if he's worth the money. We're going to give this a go with Dave Randorf when we return. The voice of the Tampa Bay Lightning on Bally Sports, Florida. We are live on Game Plus TV, also your favorite podcast platform, and WQEE, The Key.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Casino fancy.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
It's time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. Great news, factory credits are back. That means massive savings on every new vehicle. Take advantage of up to $7,000 in discounts on all remaining new 2022 F-150s. And rates are as low as 1.99% OAC. Looking for a used vehicle? You gotta check out our all makes, all models inventory. Plus, don't pay for 90 days on all new and used vehicles. There's never been a better time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. CapitalFordLincoln.com.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now back to the studio with Rod.
The studio is Ballers Rec Room, your entertainment destination. They hosted the Regina Pats the other night at a team-building event, and Connor Bedard was right here. Ooh. I'll get to your CFL free agency questions next hour because we've got him now. The television voice of the Tampa Bay Lightning, Dave Randorf. Rambo, thanks for your patience. Hell of a game in Denver last night. Lightning coming out on top in a shootout. I appreciate you coming in today to talk about it. Was it as fun as it seemed in Ball Arena last night?
Yes, it was. It was, they met last week at Amalie Arena, the first meeting since the Stanley Cup final, and that was a 5-0 game. Believe it or not, the Avalanche, to a man, including the coach, a guy you know very well, Jared Bednar, didn't hate their effort in that particular night, but Vasilevsky did his thing. They were all saying the same thing. I talked to Nathan McKinnon, I spoke to Mikko Rantanen and others, Bowen Byram and Bednar himself, and they all said, Vasilevsky, he makes stops at key times, and then it's 2-0, then it's 3-0, and then it's over. Same thing happened last night. It was a much closer, much more difficult challenge for the Lightning to get the 2 points. It ended up, as you say, going to a shootout. But in the end, once again, they are going to be looking themselves in the mirror, going Vasilevsky. I mean, he was spectacular. One more time last night, making 42 saves, I believe it was, 42, 43 saves. And he got the game to overtime. The Lightning trailed 2-0 in the game, and they trailed 2-1 going into the third, which is never an easy chore for any team to come back on the road like that, especially against a hungry, desperate, I don't want to say desperate yet, but the Avs are not in a playoff spot right now, so there's a little bit of desperation there for sure. Yes, they're undermanned a little bit, but they still brought a lot to the table last night, and the Lightning scored 2 in the third, got into overtime simply because Vasilevsky, once again, was excellent. He's a treat to watch night in, night out. He is going to go down as one of the all-time greats. I keep saying that to people since this is now my third season, seeing every minute of every game that the Lightning play, and he is just giving everybody another reminder of just how mentally locked in he is to the challenge for 60 minutes, or in this case 65 plus the shootout, in which he stopped all 3 shots, by the way.
Rambo, I'm actually glad that you brought up Vasilevsky as much as you have, because I'm back in Canada, and as you know, it's all hockey all the time here. In Florida, it's not. So I'm getting everybody's opinion from everywhere. And somebody brought up to me the other day, a hockey guy, Vasilevsky's not the same anymore. And I'm like, oh, why? Because he went 26 games between shutouts? Like, he's still the best? Are you hearing at all that he's not the same as he used to be?
No, but it's interesting you bring that up, and I don't know who you were speaking with, but I do hear this kind of thing before. And I actually talked about this on the NHL Network last week going into that Colorado game, this exact same conversation. I think what you'd look at is he's on nobody's business list, nominee list right now, and his numbers do not jump off the page in terms of goals against the save percentage. The wins are right there. In fact, last night, I think he moved into second in the NHL, and he's right on the heels of Linus Ullmark for first. Linus Ullmark, a guy who's barely lost any game. And yes, there's been a much more of a platoon situation in Boston, but still, what I'm saying is he's right there again. He has been first or tied for first in wins in the National Hockey League 5 consecutive seasons. And so I think the bar that gets set for Andrei Vasilevsky is so high that when people see that he's not leading it, and he's only got 1 shutout to boot, that all these numbers aren't sexy for those who don't watch night in, night out. They kind of go, well, you know what, maybe all the hockey that he has played, because he does carry a large load here for the Lightning, a night in, night out. And don't forget, he's had 71 extra starts over a 3-year playoff cycle. That's not even 3 years. That is condensed because of the whole bubble situation a couple of years ago. 71 extra starts. He played every minute of those 3 runs to the Stanley Cup final, and I think it's kind of natural for people who, again, don't see him night in, night out to go, oh, well, maybe he's starting to slow down and hit a bit of a wall. Well, I see every minute of every game, and I'm here to tell you he is not physically tired. He is not mentally tired. Do yourselves a favor. Look at a save he makes last night with the game, I believe it was 3-2 for the Avalanche at the time. The Lightning had tied it up, and then the Avalanche got one right back to make it 3-2, and he makes a save on a shot from the point. I believe it's Byram who takes the shot. It's tipped about 10 feet in front of the net on a beautiful, deft little tip by Arturi Lehkonen. And he reaches back with his left leg and kicks it out. And it just gives you a sense of the level of saves that he makes at key moments to allow the Lightning to do their thing. He's fine. He's going to be very tough once the playoffs roll around again.
Well, unfortunately, we're out of time, but thanks for your patience, Rambo, for hanging in there. Enjoy Mullet Arena, okay? And we'll see you soon in the Sunshine State.
All right, Rod and Ryan, thanks.
The great Dave Randorf. We'll be back with Hour 2.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
It's time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. Great news, factory credits are back. That means massive savings on every new vehicle. Take advantage of up to $7,000 in discounts on all remaining new 2022 F-150s. And rates are as low as 1.99% OAC. Looking for a used vehicle? You gotta check out our all makes, all models inventory. Plus, don't pay for 90 days on all new and used vehicles. There's never been a better time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. CapitalFordLincoln.com.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Right now.
I'm wearing headphones, rocking it back, old school radio days.
How about that?
And somebody said it looks like I'm plugged into a Walkman. And I remember when I got my first Walkman, because my brothers and I had to share it. And I was the youngest, so how often do you think I got it? And you had your case of cassettes, and then people started to crap on your music selection. And I'm like, then bring yours then! How many times did we have that conversation at parties?
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show live from Ballers Rec Room. The boss is away, if you will, Darren Moose DuPont. And he's gone for quite some time. So, we're live from Ballers Rec Room. I was in charge of the backdrop behind me, and I'm like, let's give Ballers some love here. And we are. And Twisted Tea, you're welcome. And this show has gone off the rails. Not in a bad way, but it's kind of gotten away from us. I'm trying to rein it in, i.e., a lot of people chiming in with thoughts that we hadn't planned to talk about, questions we hadn't planned to talk about. Dave Randorf was just with us, TV voice of the Tampa Bay Lightning. And how about them? They go to a shootout last night in Denver and win, the Lightning. And all of a sudden tonight, they're at Arizona tonight playing in Mullet Arena. And I would have loved to have asked Rambo what the guys think about going to play in Mullet Arena in where are they, Tempe. But we'd ran out of time. But what I'm hearing from my NHL friends is they all love going in there. It's fun. It's a novelty. 5,000-seat rink in Arizona. And they wouldn't want to do it forever. But for now, they're having fun doing that. We talked about the Winnipeg Jets' victory last night in a shootout over the Seattle Kraken. And in a minute, we're going to revisit that game. It was the Jets' third straight victory. And I watched it all, hence the bunny hug today. Jets are rolling. Day 2 of CFL Free Agency. And after our next interview here, we'll spend a heck of a lot more time on that. What's been done already, what's still to come. And we'll look at tonight's games in the National Hockey League and maybe Dub Hub 2. But Mike Benton is Seattle Kraken broadcaster, and he joins us today in the aftermath of the way I saw it, Mike, was a real wild, entertaining, fun game in Winnipeg last night. But the Kraken didn't win, so maybe you have a different viewpoint than I do. How did you feel about that 3-2 Winnipeg Jets victory at Canada Life Center?
Yeah, I mean, it was a hard-fought point, Rod, last night, and coming at the end of a road trip here where the Kraken haven't seen their own home ice for about a couple of weeks or so. They really had to dig deep and, amazingly, for as well as they played, find a way to use resources when they weren't at their best. And it really goes back to Philip Grubauer. He's been a revelation ever since New Year's Day. His save percentage is at .930. That's 7th best in the NHL among more of the active goaltenders in this league in that span. So, the way I see this, they're still trying to manage with Andre Burakovsky. They're managing with Matty Beniers maybe less than 100% with his health. They've gone through a bit of a rash of injuries on top of that. But a promising sign as we get closer here to the stretch drive. Goaltending was an issue last year, if not so much now.
I would assume that they're going bananas in Seattle right now. And I would assume that you're getting that question a lot. What's the fan base like? To be honest, I didn't expect them to be this good. I know you did. You came on in the summertime and predicted this. I'm like, he's got to say that. You were right, Mike. What are the fans thinking out there about this Kraken team?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Rod, right now the Kraken are playing with house money. There weren't many who were predicting about 4 months ago they would be in this position at 30 wins and contending not just for a playoff spot, but realistically, the Pacific Division crown. Everything has fallen into place here for this group. And, I thought going back into October, they had the pieces here to try to battle and sneak their way in. They've blown all that out of the water right now. I mean, as I said, goaltending has been terrific. Martin Jones has been a revelation, and we kind of lost track of that here with how good Grubauer's been over the recent several weeks here. But and I even go back to the point where Matty Beniers, who is still in contention for the Calder Trophy, he's gone now through a 10-game point drought. I mean, points have been hard to come by for him, and he has been the same since the Tyler Myers hit. I think maybe that happened late in January. And I think he's starting to kind of realize just how much of a grind the NHL season can be as compared to a shortened college type of schedule here. But the way that things have all fallen into place right now with goaltending, with Beniers, with Andre Burakovsky until he got hurt, with Justin Schultz and his addition on the blue line, and Vince Dunn now transformed into one of the top pair blue liners in the entire NHL. Dave Axtell, Ron Francis, you'll hear about guys touting the sum of the parts for the Seattle Kraken, and that really is, I think, the experience that you're getting with this team. They aren't going to McDavid and Draisaitl you to death. You're going to have to pick your poison when they're at their best here, and that's rolling through 4 lines. We haven't even gotten to Jared McCann, who scored 25 goals already now for this season and is creeping up on 30 for the first time in his career. He's been great. So the more and more that they can play like this. And I even think as well, be comfortable with games like last night, be comfortable with having to battle it out against a team that's on the outside in Philadelphia, but can be tough. They're led by John Tortorella and playing a tight game there and then playing a tight game against New Jersey. They're going to be in good position. And don't forget, they have the second easiest schedule by strength in the NHL going all the way to the end here of the regular season. So if they can take care of business, they're going to be in and author an incredible story.
Seattle Kraken broadcaster Mike Benton with us. I got a couple of questions for you. And you're, I would assume, similar to me, you're generally looking ahead, not back. But in the stands at FLA Live Arena at the All-Star Game, which was, 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago, an NHL guy said to me, it's a shame, the Kraken should have a player here. You know, Beniers was hurt, and they didn't replace him with anybody. Was there any murmur of that in Seattle? Did that cause, take some steam or excitement out of All-Star Week that there was no Kraken representation there?
Yeah, it was tough to see nobody there in place of Matty Beniers, Rod, but we did learn that the NHL did reach out. The Kraken had some options to send players out to the All-Star Game. There was at least one player we confirmed with Ron Francis, Kraken GM, that declined to go. He had a few matters here to take care of during the break. As far as those details, we don't know. What we do know is that Jared McCann, who is, again, creeping up on 30 goals and maybe a worthwhile guy to go, he got engaged during the All-Star break, and that was out in Hawaii to Valerie on top of that. He had Adam Larson by his side. He had Justin Schultz by his side. He had Ryan Donato by his side. So if that was the guy, we don't know for sure, but there were players who had their affairs in order during the All-Star break to try to catch up and, pay more attention to family matters, if you will. So, while it was tough to not see a player there at the game, and it was well-deserved to see a player there, and especially tough for Matty Beniers, who deserved to go, and it was tough to see him lose time because of the Myers hit. I go back to that. I think, in essence, to have an 11-day break, or a 9-day break, I should say, like they had, they didn't come out of it very well. They were sluggish first couple of games, but I have to wonder in the long term, how well is it going to serve them? And they're starting to kind of come out of the doldrums, out of the cobweb space of, this recent stretch. They ended strong on the road, a win at Philadelphia, a win at Winnipeg. And so, we'll see if that break can help them out here because, of course, the playoffs, the stretch drive, it's going to get nastier, it's going to get rugged. And the more and more that they can keep bodies healthy, the better off they'll be.
Well, one more. I've seen a preliminary fake news list of the finalists for the Jack Adams Coach of the Year. Dave Hochstahl was not on it. And hey, there's a lot of great coaches in the NHL, there's no doubt. But do you think we'll see him as a finalist when all is said and done, the head coach of the Seattle Kraken? He's done a job worthy of winning the whole award. What do you think his chances are to win it?
I think if he can keep this team in contention, not just for the playoffs, but also in the Pacific Division, you have to wonder, is your vote going to go to Dave Hakstol? I think it has to because of the turnaround year that we have seen. It has been, I think, of historic proportions compared to second-year teams in the NHL. Listen, it's not easy to win in the National Hockey, no matter who you are, no matter what team you face. If you're a top-end team, game over, end of story. If you're more of a bottom-feeding team, yeah, you're going to face maybe a weaker lineup here, but it's still a competitive team. It's a competitive game, and you're facing players, who are battling for their livelihood. Any team will say it. Even last year, the Kraken said of themselves when they were well out of it by this point last season, it's a hard league to win. The Kraken have passed virtually every test this year in this hard league to win in. And I think that if you're managing a team that is comprised more of the sum of their parts rather than a bona fide superstar in his prime, like McDavid, like Matthews, like McKinnon, I think Dave Hakstol kind of deserves your vote. And I think that's something to consider and chew on as we get closer and closer here to the playoffs, and the Kraken are hanging around in this thing because we're not in the middle of the month, with about roughly 2 months to go until April, and the Kraken are still there.
What a story. It's been a hell of a story. Mike, keep it up. I appreciate you. What station you on out there again? Is it KJR or ESPN? Which one you on?
Sports Radio 93.3 KJR FM. So we're covering here. We're covering several states across the Pacific Northwest. And, you know, the one blessing that we have is that we're crystal clear FM dial. So we are blasting, we are cranking, and you can't miss us if you're within 100 miles of Seattle. So it's been great so far.
Oh, it's such a great part of the world. And we will be out there. I trust you. And when I do, when we do come, I'll look you up. Mike, thanks. Keep it rolling, brother. Thanks for the time.
Anytime, Rod. Thank you.
Mike Benton from Sports Radio KJR. We got that straight. Oh, man, I do miss my trips to Seattle. And I could sit. Listen, we might have to tell stories here. Okay? Because, Clark, it's just me, right? The rest of the way? Oh, well, how about this? Justin Dunk's coming in next. How about that? Talk some CFL stuff when we come back. But I could sit here and tell stories forever, as you know. I was just going to say, load up the text line, 902-518-3033, or the YouTube chat, and let's fill this time together. And we can do that. But Clark has got Justin Dunk coming in next, and we can talk about all things. NFL, CFL, whatever you'd like. Devin is tuned in from Burns Lake, British Columbia, and says, love the bunny hug, Rod. And for those that don't know, that's a Saskatchewan term for a hoodie. It's my Winnipeg Jets one, and I just felt like putting it on today. Tune in tomorrow to see what I'll have on tomorrow. Barry is watching on Game Plus TV in Saskatoon. He says, no word on Derek Moncrief. Listen, I'm back here in the sweatpants capital, Canada's football capital. And listen, you have to understand something. The second that you get dropped into the, what did somebody call it? Melting pot is what Joe Brokentoe, my business manager, called it. How about the frying pan? How about that? How about the fish bowl? Derek Moncrief's going to be here because he just got married. They got a baby on the way to a Regina girl and loves the Saskatchewan Roughriders, loves Saskatchewan. Derek Moncrief not going anywhere. And I didn't even think he was a free agent anyways, but I can tell you he's not good. The former Los Angeles Rams quarterback from Los Angeles Rams linebacker from Prattville, Alabama. Derek Moncrief not going anywhere. So there's a few questions that I can answer because of that. Okay, Clark's telling me he's under contract anyways, so that was from Barry in Saskatoon, and he wrote in on the 902 line. So whatever questions you have, just lob them at me, just like we're in the cages here at Ballers. I can take a cut at a few anyways. Not sure I'm going to be right, but some I'll connect with. Our director of scouting, Craig Smith, writes in, says, Seattle Kraken are a good team. Man, they can skate. Fly around. Impressive. That was, I'll tell you something, that was one of the best games that I've watched in a long time. Last night, the Jets and the Kraken, and I was happy to have the time to be able to tune it in. But what I will tell you that everybody's talking about around here right now still is the Calgary Flames New York Rangers game, which was a week ago Monday. It had the fights, it had the line brawls, went to overtime, everybody talking about that. So again, for those that aren't in Canada, for our audience, that's what it's like here. All hockey, all the time. Mike Benton talking about the FM Crystal Clear channel in Seattle. Forget about them. We're on the 50,000-watt blowtorch. Right, Ryan Radio? WQEE. Your southern home of sports and talk. Get out of here with Seattle. But I say that in jest somewhat. The one thing that I do miss when people ask me, do you miss the dub? I miss the U.S. West Coast trip every single time. And I made it 20 times. Okay, I think I got it covered. But going to Seattle, there's just so much to do. Pike Place Market, obviously great sports teams. Seahawks, Mariners. Well, and here's the thing. I used to go to all the Sonics games, and we could sit and talk about that forever. John Ohm in Winnipeg. Ohm goes, Rod, you need to watch NBA Live. You'd get into it. I've watched NBA Live. I like the NBA a lot. But I'm not going to sit there and be on top of everything because hosting this show, you got to know your NHL, you got to know your CFL, and now you got to know your NFL. I know enough about the NBA, but not Stephen A. Smith here. Go to the games. I enjoy it. I follow what's going on, but we're not going to sit and talk about it every day. But that was the era of Gary Payton, the glove, and the voice of the Seattle Supersonics, Kevin Calabro, on 910 KJR. Used to listen to that all the time. I'm getting off on a tangent. Is Dunk lined up and in and ready to go? You will be? Okay. Okay, well, we'll continue this. We got to take a break. I can sit and tell you some Seattle stories and Tacoma stories, and one night we found ourselves in the middle of an investigation. There's that if you want. We'll be right back. We're live on Game Plus TV, your favorite podcast platform, and your Southern home of sports and talk, WQEE The Key.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
I gotta hit the beat.
Grey Eagle Resort and Casino.
It's time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. Great news, factory credits are back. That means massive savings on every new vehicle. Take advantage of up to $7,000 in discounts on all remaining new 2022 F-150s. And rates are as low as 1.99% OAC. Looking for a used vehicle? You gotta check out our all makes, all models inventory. Plus, don't pay for 90 days on all new and used vehicles. There's never been a better time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. CapitalFordLincoln.com.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Laid back and kicking it, let's head back to the studio. Here's Rod.
The studio's Ballers Rec Room today. Loving it. Loving it. As Jim Lang would say, and McDonald's. By the way, Lyle's watching on Game Plus TV in Tirana. He says, we are so thankful you're not Stephen A. Smith, Rod. Thank you. So he's him, I'm me. And I'm so thankful for the viewer and audience participation here with everybody. Makes this coffee get together every day just so much fun. Well, we've covered a lot of NHL. Lightning, Kraken, the big Jets win last night. There are 6 games tonight that we'll get to later. Oilers home to Detroit tonight. Leafs home to Chicago. But it is day 2 of CFL Free Agency, and as we all know, Justin Dunk and 3downnation.com is the #1 source in Canada for CFL news. More than half of the players come from America. A lot come from Georgia, so our listeners down there are very interested in what's going on. And JD, if you don't mind, we've talked a lot about the first 24 hours of free agency, or at least the first day. What do you have for us today? What's gone down?
Literally, the main thing that's going down today, Roddy, is Hamilton Tiger Cats actually making official a bunch of the signings that have been boarded at 3Down Nation and elsewhere. So the Tiger Cats have completely remade their roster. Yes, there's some pieces that they have kept around from the previous year, but it started with Levi Mitchell, the new franchise quarterback there with the Ticats, and they've made a number of signings official. Arguably, the biggest one is to protect that blind side of Mitchell. Joel Figueroa comes back to Hamilton, where he actually started his career, to play left tackle and protect Mitchell. As I first reported, Tim White has re-signed with the Tiger Cats. Their #1 receiver from a year ago is back. So that should be arguably Mitchell's top target, because the Ticats have signed former Rough Riders receiver Duke Williams to go along with him in the receiving core. And then on defense today, the Ticats made official Jared Davis coming back down the QEW from the Toronto Argos to rejoin Hamilton on that defensive line up front. Kwaku Boateng, after a year off due to an injury he sustained, has joined the roster as well. It should be an intriguing defensive end spot that could be a national spot with Mason Bennett there, who's been developing with the Tiger Cats. And then Hamilton has made official Jameer Thurman, the outstanding linebacker who comes over from the Calgary Stampeders. So lots of moves going down in Hamilton, and I should be remiss, I can't miss one. James Butler, a versatile running back who played at a CFL All-Star caliber level last year. Wasn't a CFL All-Star because he's the only one running back that can get it, but Butler is absolutely dynamic and should be a great piece in the backfield with Mitchell. So the Tiger Cats making a bunch of things official today. That's really the main news in the CFL today, Rod.
Well, I really, really, really appreciate you jumping in, and here's why. Listen, I just want to be the host and bring in the experts. That's why we've had Dave Randorf and Mike Bennett and now yourself, because I'm trying to stay on top of this. And for one, well, here's Colin in Ottawa chiming in. He says, Justin Dunk gets it. Left tackle is the most important position besides quarterback, and Hamilton getting Joel Figueroa is a huge get for the Tiger Cats. So, okay, was there a winner on day 1, and so far we're declaring Hamilton on day 2? Like, what was your take of day 1?
Day 1 was really just making a bunch of things official from the negotiating window, Roddy. So in reality, CFL Free Agency now starts when the negotiating window starts. And if you don't have a contract that has been at least agreed to terms on, and that you just finalize and put your Johnny Hancock on the first day of free agency, then it could be slim pickings, or you might go without one if you're not signed on day 1. So really, I look at the Tiger Cats as a team that has improved themselves overall. It's going to be a much different looking group. The Rough Riders made a number of moves, and when you add a quarterback in the caliber of Trevor Harris, that's going to obviously get the attention of a lot of teams around the league. I really like what they did investing in the offensive line, but there wasn't a lot of talent there. And I think there were some people around the league and in Riderville, I'm sure, that were hoping to see Joel Figueroa going to Saskatchewan, because he was far and away the best tackle available on the market. And we know that the Riders have had a lot of trouble at those tackle spots, especially left tackle, in the last number of years, especially the last couple, trying to protect Cody Fajardo. So even though the Riders did a lot of good things, I am going to hold out my judgment until I see what kind of tackles they're bringing in terms of Americans. I know Jeremy O'Day is high on Gerald Hawkins, who they signed from their negotiation list, but they got to protect Trevor Harris. I think Harris will help out the offensive line, getting the ball out quickly, but the Rough Riders did make a number of moves, and then quietly, I really like what Sean Burke has done in Ottawa and putting that roster together. And before all this free agent frenzy happened, there was a mini frenzy, if you will, for Drew Desjardins, who's an outstanding Canadian offensive lineman, came back north of the border from the NFL, spent time with the New England Patriots and New Orleans Saints, and didn't want to have the question every week of whether he was going to be on the practice squad, the active roster, or perhaps get released. So he gets paid over $250,000 to become the highest paid Canadian offensive lineman ever in CFL history by the Red Blacks. So there were a bunch of teams bidding for his services, including the Rough Riders, Roddy. So they were looking to bring him to Saskatchewan to upgrade that O-line, but Desjardins goes to Ottawa. And then they add some other pieces to that team around Jeremiah Masoli specifically. They have Jalen Acklin, who they believe is a legit #1 receiver, and I think he showed that last season. But they go get Shaq Evans, who many people know in Riderville can take the top off of defense. And if he's healthy, I think that could be an absolute steal on the offensive side of the ball. And then Burke continues a little bit of what he's been doing in terms of bringing old Hamilton Tiger Cats that he knows to the nation's capital. They get Cariel Brooks, who was really just released for salary cap reasons by the Tiger Cats, to get him to come down the highway to Ottawa to help shore up that secondary. So I really like what Burke has done there. He has built a solid offensive line in the nation's capital to protect Jeremiah Masoli, put some pieces around him. And that defense, I think, is really underrated. I think the Red Blacks have their arrow pointing up. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the Edmonton Elks, who have put a bevy of playmakers around Taylor Cornelius, starting with Gino Lewis, who becomes the highest paid non-quarterback in the league, Roddy, at $320,000 in 2023. Then they add Stephen Dunbar Jr., who's a physical receiver. They take him away from the Hamilton Tiger Cats, put him in that core. You add Kyran Moore, the former Rough Rider, who was offered a contract from Saskatchewan, but decided to go and join his old offensive coordinator and Stephen McAdoo in Edmonton. So I really like what the Elks have done in free agency so far.
Oh, it's head spinning. And take a breath, take a sip, man. It's a wonderful recap right there. From our audience, from Steve-O's channel, writes in and says, dunk! The Ian Rappaport of the CFL. I've often called him the Adam Schefter of the CFL. Jeff the Stamps fan says, left tackle, the most underrated position in football in terms of its importance. Well, they made a movie about it. The Blind Side. David Carswell is a Ticats fan, and he wants to know what you know about the future of Simone Lawrence.
That situation is really intriguing, and it bears watching. And Orlando Steinauer is actually about to address the media in Hamilton right now in the Steel City. But from what I've heard, there are people around the league that feel like the Tiger Cats are willing to wait out Simone Lawrence until they can get his salary down to where it'll fit into the salary cap, because we know they've done a lot of spending. Bo Levi Mitchell's going to make $520,000. It would have taken over $200,000 to get Tim White back under contract, for example. Joel Figueroa is going to make it in around $190,000. So they've spent some money, Roddy. So I think there's going to be a little bit of a patient process here. Simone Lawrence lives in Hamilton year-round, the only team he's ever played for in the CFL, except for a little bit of time with Edmonton, really, when people didn't know about him, has been the Hamilton Tiger Cats. So I think ideally he would love to win a Grey Cup ring there in 2023 at home. The first potentially for the Ticats since 1999. That's really a focus for them. So I think there's going to be a patient period here where is Lawrence willing to take less than he could potentially get elsewhere to stay in Hamilton and potentially finish off his career there with a run at a Grey Cup.
Tank Abbott, watching in the Energy City, says Dunk is running a full-court press coverage of the CFL signings. Awesome. Keep it up. Wayne in Victoria, BC, says some would say that's too much movement of players in the CFL. Well, Wayne, forget about it. You're saying it. But the CFL doesn't have a problem with it, so it is what it is. Colin, again in Ottawa, wants to know what you think about star players like Saskatchewan linebacker Darnell Sankey, former Stampeder, going to the XFL. How big of a problem is this, CFL losing players to American leagues?
It could be more and more of a problem, Roddy, if the XFL and the USL prove that they have staying power and they can actually continue to keep putting football on the field. Sankey, I feel like, is a bit of an outlier of a case because he was offered a pretty hefty contract from the Saskatchewan Roughriders in and around $150,000 to $160,000, and he decided to turn it down. That would have made him the second highest paid American linebacker in the league, next to Adam Bighill, who has multiple Grey Cups, has won a Most Outstanding Defensive Player award, and has been a multiple CFL All-Star. So Sankey, in hindsight, and yes, it's 2020, should have taken that deal from Saskatchewan. But the real reason that Sankey's going down to the XFL now is because he can't find that kind of money on the open market with these other CFL teams. Cameron Kelly is a different case. He was a CFL All-Star at strong side linebacker, a standout defensive back who has been in the NFL before with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So he's taken this route. He played in the AAF, got a contract with the Steelers in 2019, and then had a little off-field incident that got him released from Pittsburgh. So Kelly feels like his best way is to go to the XFL and hopefully, is what he is thinking, earn a contract in the NFL again. He really felt like he was going to get some more attention from NFL teams in the offseason in terms of workouts, and feels like he should be on an NFL roster already. But at this point in time, Kelly feels like his best route to the NFL at this point in time is going through the XFL. So I think there definitely is a bit of a talent drain around the CFL because of the XFL. And I've heard it a little more and more from executives around the league, but they'll also tell you that there's lots of talented football players out there. And if you market the CFL game properly to them and show them that, hey, you can come up here, play really well in 1 year, let's say like a Nathan Rourke, and get a contract south of the border, regardless of your position.
Jim Wagner in Balgony, Sask, writes in and says, hello all, slam dunk, nailing the CFL news. Great job, guys. I got to say this, it's the busiest time. I appreciate you jumping on. I'm not going to keep you past this segment, man. I'll let you go. I can handle it the rest of the way. But let me ask you this. At 3 down, your hits must be through the ceiling, am I right? Because that's, it's the best job of reporting this that I've seen.
Well, I appreciate the compliment, Roddy. And yeah, yesterday, in terms of traffic, we're still adding up the numbers, but it could very well have been the single biggest day in 3 Down Nation history. And we're going over 7 years strong now. We started in 2015, and you know it, Roddy, and we appreciate all the support from you guys at the Rod Pedersen Show and all of the viewers and listeners and watchers and, of course, readers of 3downnation.com. So I got to tally up the numbers, but if I had to guess, and I usually don't do this, but we probably would have done close to, if not over, 1 million page views on Tuesday, day 1 of CFL Free Agency. So we appreciate the CFL for that and the interest of everybody coast to coast in Canada and, of course, our friends south of the border in the United States.
Yeah, we can track it all. It's awesome. God bless America. Hey, I was just saying, Clark wasn't listening earlier. I'm not going to keep Justin past this segment because he's busy, Clark, but I just want you, Justin, please, in 60 seconds, can you give me your take on Trevor Harris signing in Sask? Because the fans believe Grey Cup bound. Is it going to be that easy for them and Trevor Harris?
It's not going to be that easy, but I think Trevor Harris is exactly what the Rough Riders needed. He is a veteran leader who knows what it's like to be in a market that loves their football, and they say that because the Ottawa Redblacks really are tapped into that team, and they show out from a crowd perspective. It's obviously not to the extent of people putting watermelons on their helmet and the way that Riderville follows that team across the country, but it's somewhat similar. So he has experience to that end. I definitely think he'll help on the field, and he'll be a great guy to have for first-year offensive coordinator Kelly Jeffrey, installing that scheme and help out the offensive line with that quick release that he has. I still think Harris has a number of prime years in front of him. A photo a couple of years ago of him in Edmonton, he was flashing a six-pack, and this dude is cut up. Don't let that loose jersey fool anybody out there, okay? He is in the gym working. He's done ballet to work on some of his footwork and all of that kind of thing. So this guy's ready. I think it's a great match with Saskatchewan. but he's going to have to gel really quickly with that unit there. I think he can do it because he's done it in the past, but to expect a Grey Cup is a lot of pressure from a quarterback coming into any situation in year one.
A fantastic update. Appreciate you again. Go get to work, JD. Thanks for this.
Thanks, Roddy. Appreciate you having me on.
3downnation.com and football news magnate Justin Dunk. Got a sports update coming up next, and then whatever you all would like to talk about, let's do it together. Get your comments in now, 902-518-3033, or questions. And the YouTube feed as well, if that's your thing. We haven't even talked about the poll question. I could do an hour on that. We're down to the final four, LA, Winnipeg. Get your votes in. We'll talk about everything when we return after this pause on Game Plus TV, YouTube, as I mentioned, and your southern home of sports and talk, WQEE, The Key.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
It's time to trade and upgrade at Capital GMC. Great news, factory credits are back. That means massive savings on every new vehicle. We have over 100 GMC Sierras available, and they're all priced to move. Looking for a used vehicle? You gotta check out our all makes, all models GM certified pre-owned inventory. Plus, don't pay for 90 days on all new and used vehicles. There's never been a better time to trade and upgrade at Capital GMC. CapitalGMC.ca.
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
I gotta hit the beat.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Yes, We're live at Ballers Rec Room, and there's no Moose today, no Moose for quite some time. You're going to find out where he is. He's going to be joining us from Prince Edward Island in the beautiful Maritimes at some point, right, Clark? Who knows when? So Clark's been doing yeoman's work, lining up people today to fill in for Moose and for the next few weeks, as a matter of fact. So the reason I bring that up, I'm looking over here at the coffee cup. The camera's not even on it, but Kelly Remple was here in hour one. We had so much fun. We're going to have some of our big-time sports friends and buddies join us over the next couple weeks here while we are in the rectangle. And I hope you enjoyed the CFL news. Nobody else is covering the CFL Free Agency as deeply as we are. And I'm going to switch around to hockey in a moment. But I found this interesting, and I appreciate listener JT's comment on this. Dunk said they're going to hit 1 million. They're going to hit 1 million page views at 3downnation.com on Tuesday on day one of CFL Free Agency. It's big-time numbers, Matt. Really big-time numbers. And JT writes that he says, I remember the days when Rod Pedersen was voted #1 blogger in Canada. Well, you got a good memory, bro. That was 2007 and 2009, twice winning it. It's a long time ago at rodpedersen.com. And in the break, I was thinking 1 million for 3 down. What was the most that I ever hit? And it was 250,000 in a day, only because of the Humboldt Broncos crash, and it was a column that I wrote about that. Days that we don't want to remember. That, of course, being 2018, but the digital business, that's where it's at, and 20% of the viewers of this show and listeners, obviously, are American, and I can only imagine how many they are for 3downnation.com as a football site. Now, before I switch to hockey, this is funny. Because if you're a CFL fan and the league's going through its problems, obviously financially and so forth, but we love the league. We love the players. We love the coaches. We love the fans a lot. So we love talking about it. That's why we do so much. So Wayne in BC, Victoria, big Saskatchewan Roughriders fan out there, regarding my last question to Dunk, and I said Rider fans have visions of Grey Cup dancing in their head. I might have exaggerated a little bit, but Wayne says, I don't think any realistic Rider fans think that the Riders are Grey Cup favorites just because of Trevor Harris's signing. It's on the screen. Okay. Paradox. Realistic Rider fan. There's no such thing, right, Ricky? Realistic Rider fan. There's no such thing as a realistic Rider fan. None of them are, and that's fine. Realistic Rider. It's a paradox or a contrast or I'm not sure, but it doesn't make any sense. Realistic Rider fan. Ted in Arizona writes, and I think as a realistic Rider fan, we would hope to be 3rd in the West and 5th in the league overall. There's no such thing as a realistic Rider fan. Anyways, let's update the poll question today for Capital Auto Mall Universal Collision Center with dealerships all across the Canadian prairies. Let's get back on track here. And the state of California, we're down to the Final Four in the Jersey poll. Yesterday, Buffalo defeated the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Buffalo Sabres are sitting waiting in the Stanley Cup final of retro reverse jerseys for the Western opponent. And today, here are your final 2 in the West, the Los Angeles Kings and the Winnipeg Jets. And more than anything, the comments from the audience today have been more entertaining. Like even Jets fans are writing in going, I'm a Jets fan, but that Kings jersey is sweet. Oh, I don't know what it does to me. I don't know if it triggers my youth or I just love the purple and gold as a combo. I don't know. Maybe I like Easter. That's Easter colors, right? I voted for LA in a wash. And I swear to God, if DuPont was here right now, he'd be voting for Winnipeg just because that's him. But you can vote now. Clark, do you have a sample on YouTube? Who's winning on the YouTube vote? And I'll go, while you do that, I'll check Twitter. The Jets? Why, what is it? 53% on YouTube voting for the Winnipeg Jets. And on Twitter, it's 56% LA.
How about that?
Yeah, right. I don't know what to say. I want LA to win this thing, man. And I don't even own one of these jerseys. That's the one thing is you've never probably ever seen me in a jersey on this show. If you do, it's very rare. I'm just not a jersey guy. I own many, but I'm not a jersey guy. I've often thought when I'm hosting a show, whether it was my old radio show when I was the voice of the Rough Riders for 20 years or this one here, if I was just like any other fan, why would you listen to me? I can't listen or put stock in fan opinions. I can't, because if that was the case, Winnipeg Jets fans were upset that Rick Bowness was hired in the summertime. And look how that turned out. And all these various things. I can't be a fan. Fans wear jerseys. And put them on the wall, but that's about it. To the sports update from the Dub. The Saskatoon Blades scored 4 goals in the third period to defeat the Prince George Cougars 5-2 in Western Hockey League play on Tuesday. In Brandon, Brady Burney scored twice, and Caleb Wyrostock added 3 assists as the visiting Swift Current Broncos outlasted the Brandon Wheat Things 7-5. And in Seattle, Lucas Siona scored twice. Brad Lambert had a goal and 2 assists, and the Seattle Thunderbirds beat the visiting Tri-City Americans 4-2. On the Sports Wire, NHL scoring leader Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers are home to the Detroit Red Wings tonight. McDavid's 3 points shy of 100 on the year. Edmonton sits in 4th in the crowded Pacific, just 3 points behind first place Vegas. Also tonight, the Vancouver Canucks look to snap a 2-game losing streak as they host the Rangers. New York's won 5 in a row. The Toronto Maple Leafs home to Chicago. Leaf star Austin Matthews is expected to return to the lineup. The reigning league MVP has been sidelined since suffering a sprained knee on January 29th. Toronto enters the night second in the Atlantic Division, 11 points back of the Boston Bruins. And kudos, by the way, to Jim Montgomery for beating the team that fired him, even though he had a drinking problem, the Dallas Stars in the game of the, well, one of the games of the night last night. I think Winnipeg beating Seattle was the game of the night. This sports update is proudly brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. In Landmark now, Avatar, The Way of Water. Set more than a decade after the events of the first film, Avatar, The Way of Water begins to tell the story of the Sully family, the trouble that follows them, the lengths they go to keep each other safe, the battles they fight to stay alive, and the tragedies they endure. In Landmark Cinemas now, Avatar, The Way of Water. Overtime coming up next. Viewer takeover. All of it here on Game Plus TV. Whatever podcast you're listening to, podcast platform, and your southern home of sports and talk, WQEE The Key.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersenshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersenshop.com.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
Resort and Casino.
It's time to trade and upgrade at Capital GMC. Great news, factory credits are back. That means massive savings on every new vehicle. We have over 100 GMC Sierras available, and they're all priced to move. Looking for a used vehicle? You gotta check out our all makes, all models GM certified pre-owned inventory. Plus, don't pay for 90 days on all new and used vehicles. There's never been a better time to trade and upgrade at Capital GMC. CapitalGMC.ca.
Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the beat.
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
I gotta hit the beat.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Okay, here we are. As the man says, thank you, Rick Regan. Indeed, we're live on Game Plus TV and WQEE, and this is Overtime. And we're live at Ballers Rec Room for now to the end of the week, and we appreciate them opening their space to us, giving them some love today. It is time for viewer takeover, where we turn it over to you, the audience. 902-518-3033. And Bruno is watching on Game Plus TV. He is in Hinton, Alberta. Beautiful community on the highway between Jasper and Edmonton.
Beautiful.
Ran out of gas there once. Did I ever tell you that story? Oh, do I have a million? Anyways, regarding our jersey poll, Bruno says, hey, Rod and crew, Winnipeg all the way. You want to throw those up again, Clark? I can't. What am I missing here? Like, I love me some double blue. That's almost Argos blue there, but it ain't the LA Kings. Purple haze, I think it might just be. Clark, can you settle the tie? Because DuPont would vote for Winnipeg just to rub me the wrong way. What? Oh, yeah, Clark's like, it's L.A. That's not even close for Clark, nor me. Well, we're surprised. Yes, Clark and I both surprised Winnipeg got this far. Out of all the jerseys, I know Kevin the Medium checked in earlier. I'd love to get his take. He thinks the Vancouver Canucks third should have won the retro reverse, and I don't agree with that either. But that's why we have a free country. That's why we have these polls. JT says, by the way, writes in, JT from the audience says, thank you, Rod Pedersen, for the dedication to your profession. RodPedersen.com, twice voted Canada's Sports Blog of the Year, over 35 million all-time hits, and twice voted Canada's Sports Blog of the Year. Thank you for that. There's nothing heroic. There's not a whole lot else I'd rather do. I do want to tell you, well, now the recovery work, that's what I enjoy more, but hey, we've come this far in both. Life is good. April 29th, just announced today, breaking news, join Ryan Getzlaf, Stanley Cup champion, Olympic gold medalist, Chris Getzlaf, Grey Cup champion 2 times, Grey Cup most outstanding Canadian, and me, Saturday, April 29th, in the wonderful community of Pence, Saskatchewan. We'll be there raising money. Sports banquet. Go to my Twitter, my Facebook. The poster's there. The numbers to call for tickets are there. You're going to be hearing a lot about the Getzlafs and me Saturday, April 29th in Pence, Saskatchewan. These fundraisers, I don't know why more people don't do them, more communities don't do them. It's a really good way to raise a lot of money. on one night. But Pence has got it figured out. So join us there for that. And it's always nice to get together with the Getzlaff boys. Again, a lot of stories. Let's go back to the Hinton one. It's not that nefarious. We were on the road with the Prince Albert Raiders. It was 1993. I was the 21-year-old voice of the Prince Albert Raiders. And we were on the West Coast trip, and our assistant coach, Rod Dahlman, bought a Jeep Cherokee in Prince George. Got a good deal on it. And he wanted to drive it all the way from Prince George to Prince Albert. It's a long ways. And he goes, will you ride with me? I'm like, yeah, sure. What the hell? Well, he wanted to calculate the gas mileage. This was 1993. It's not like now. So he's like, let's drive it as far as we can until we run out of gas. That's exactly what we did. Outside Hinton. And for whatever reason, he had me pushing this thing while he was behind the wheel. And I'll never forget looking, and he was pounding the wheel. He was laughing so hard. Hinton, Alberta. That's my memory of that town, as I'm jumping all over the place. And then Ryan Getzlaff, when he won the Stanley Cup with the Anaheim Ducks in 2007, he was gone from this city real young. At 16 years of age, he was gone, playing for the Calgary Hitmen in the NHL, I think. Clark, if you remember, at 18, I think. 19 at the latest. So he wins the Stanley Cup as a young guy. He's going to come back to Regina and have a parade, which he did, and asked me to MC the parade and the events. I didn't really know him that well, but he didn't know that many people. He was a kid. So we had a Stanley Cup parade here in the back of a Mustang convertible. We had a road hockey tournament on the parking lot of the Center of the Arts, and it was a hell of a lot of fun. And that was 2007. Like, time's flying. So now we'll all get back together and have this event on Saturday, April 29th. Tell some sports stories and raise a lot of money for the community of Pence, Saskatchewan. 902-518-3033 is the number to reach us here. Now, we want to talk about the game of the night in the National Hockey League tonight. There are 6. Clark will say it's the Leafs and the Chicago Blackhawks, and it's always exciting when a battle of original 6 teams get together. Detroit's at Edmonton. Did the Oilers not get thumped in Detroit just a couple of weeks ago? Did they not? I think they did get pumped there. Last minute of play in hour 1. So we'll be talking about all these tomorrow. Trevor, Red Ranger on Winnipeg, checks in. He says, good show. It all started with a hoodie. Yeah, tune in tomorrow. I got already planned what I'm going to wear tomorrow here live from Ballers Rec Room. My game of the night, I think, is the Tampa Bay Lightning at the Arizona Coyotes. We previewed it last hour with Rambo, Dave Randorf. The NHLers are excited to go into Mullet Arena, and who would have thought that was the case? So, that's it. And in the NBA tonight, Rhino Radio, you there? I know you're there. The Atlanta Hawks home tonight, State Farm Arena, to the New York Knickerbockers. And while we're at it, in this Sports on Tap for the Tap, Western Hockey League tonight, Swift Current at Winnipeg. Get your tickets. Calgary at Lethbridge. Everett at Kelowna, and Portland at Spokane. It's a big night. We'll see you all tomorrow, noon Eastern, to talk about it. Right here.
Who has more fun than us?